Well, the day is finally here. We have to finally acknowledge that Zelda's 35th anniversary will not be getting the Wind Waker or Twilight Princess HD, and we have to discuss whether or not we can expect these games to come to the Switch at all. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. And as I mentioned, guys, this one's not as fun of a video for me to make today, but we do have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that was that at the most recent Nintendo Direct presentation that just took place on Wednesday of this week, we did not get any form of announcements around the Zelda series at all. Not even a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, which of course has a lot of fans now just looking towards E3 as to when we can get some more information on Zelda. But in case if you guys are not familiar with the history of Zelda, February would have technically been the very last month that Nintendo could have announced something like Wind Waker and or Twilight Princess HD, especially in some form of a combo pack, to be part of Zelda's 35th anniversary, because February is the month that the original Legend of Zelda launched in 1986, and we have seen them do things with the Mario 35th anniversary that actually lasted a full year, and they had some additional games scheduled that were part of the 35th celebration but that came out later on in the following year in 2021, like Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and not in 2020, which was Mario's 35th full year celebration. So we had one last glimmer of hope at this direct presentation that maybe Nintendo would throw us a curveball and say that we are going out with a bang for the 35th anniversary celebration of Zelda, and here is Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD in a combo pack so you guys can go enjoy them while you're waiting for Breath of the Wild 2. Now, I do want to quickly give you guys a reminder of why these games were so heavily rumored and speculated upon to begin with, and we had a few different names in the gaming industry kind of present the idea that for sure these games would come out in the year of 2021. That originally came from Andy Robinson at VGC. Now, it could have been speculation, but of course he has connections in the industry with various different game developing studios, and it also just makes a lot of sense that Nintendo would want to bring over those Wii U games because, of course, you know, we got the announcement for Skyward Sword HD, but those two were essentially already upgraded to HD in the Wii U era, and why would Nintendo just leave them there on a very unsuccessful platform? You then had Jeff Grubb back that up and state that he does believe that the games were done, but of course it's hard to predict when Nintendo may actually release them, and he believed that it would be a response to if they needed more time with the development of Breath of the Wild 2. And that's kind of where our last glimmer of hope falls, and we'll dive into that deeper. But of course you had all these different leaker accounts that some of which may or may not be credible, also go on record claiming that these games would be coming out as part of Zelda's 35th anniversary celebration. And I think it's just a safe statement to make now, because I don't think Nintendo's launching it by the 21st of this month, which would be the end of technically the full year since the 35th anniversary started. Since they're not coming out in that time window, we can officially state that unfortunately Zelda's 35th anniversary games are dead and done, and they will not be marketed in that way. Now, I do want to make it clear that I am not stating that we will not get these games at all, but I would definitely shift my expectations to see them individually released at a $60 price point. And I know that's not a popular opinion, but that is literally how Nintendo has brought over every other Wii U game to the Nintendo Switch, sometimes with additional content like Bowser's Fury being added into Mario 3D World. But you know, you have to keep in mind that New Super Mario Bros. U, which is a 2D side-scroller game, essentially got brought over with no big changes whatsoever and went from a $50 retail price on the Wii U to a $60 retail price on the Switch with minimal to no effort, because they know that the Wii U games already look good enough. You don't have to do too much to them. You literally just port them over and they're a great installment on the Switch. And I think that that's what we see Nintendo do now that we have to have the reality check that these games are not coming over as part of a celebration of an anniversary, which would have been maybe the one exception to the rule where they would have given us those two full price games as a combo pack, because of course we see them do things like that, like we did with Mario's 35th when we got Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy all brought over in one collection pack. Nintendo typically only likes to do things things like that when they are making a clear statement that they are trying to celebrate and recognize and remember an anniversary of a franchise. And I think that that ship has sailed for The Legend of Zelda, so we now have to shift our focus to potentially 2 individual releases, and probably pretty spread out, as typically Nintendo sticks to roughly 1 Zelda release per calendar year. And that's where we have to shift the topic now, because this all revolves around Zelda Breath of the Wild, in my opinion. I don't think that these games are going to die on the Wii U. I do think that Nintendo brings them over before the end of the Switch's life cycle, or potentially even into the next gen Switch, but then of course they are backwards compatible with the current library of Switch games. At least I hope that's how they would do it, and hopefully these wouldn't be exclusive to the next gen Switch, but could be one that would be kind of multi-generational or launched around the transition of generations for whatever Nintendo's planning with the Switch hardware. So now at this point, I believe that the biggest indication of when we can expect these games fully revolve around the release timeline of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, meaning if we get Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 in the year of 2022 like it is currently slated for, and even in Nintendo's last investor briefing is still on track according to them, to their investors. They are still saying that Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 is a 2022 title, which looks like that will be probably the holiday season show closer game to really push the sales of the Switch over the top this holiday season, or at least in the fall winter time window. Like, that's where I would expect Breath of the Wild 2 to launch. And if I'm a betting man, I think we get the big reveal and a bunch of gameplay at E3, and Breath of the Wild is the Zelda title for this year. At that point, we can then maybe talk about Wind Waker HD and or Twilight Princess HD. I personally think they'll be spread out quite a bit, because Nintendo likes to let each individual Zelda game have its own window to sell. I think we get either one of those announced, most likely Wind Waker first in the year of 2023, as long as Breath of the Wild 2 does indeed come out this year. Let's flip that script and say that Breath of the Wild 2 somehow gets delayed into 2023. Well, then at that point, I think E3 comes up and they say, here's a development update, maybe even here's the trailer and title for the game, but it will not be out in 2022. Unfortunately, we had more development time, more things pop up that we need to polish to create the great experience that you Zelda fans expect. And in the meantime, we are announcing Wind Waker HD to be sold this holiday season in 2022. That's another very real reality that I could see happening if Nintendo needs the time to put that last minute polish and finishing touches, and then maybe we get Breath of the Wild 2 as the spring or summer release of 2023, and those ports are just merely used as a buffer for fans that will obviously be disappointed if Breath of the Wild 2 doesn't come out in the year of 2022. This is all highly up for debate and speculation at this point in time. Clearly, we don't know what Nintendo plans with anything, because while all of the rumors and speculation pointed towards a new Mario Kart, we got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC roadmap through the end of 2023. So if that doesn't tell you that this company is completely unpredictable most of the time, well, then I don't know what does. So clearly plans could change, clearly things can shift around. I want to hear from you guys really on your personal thoughts and speculation around maybe if Nintendo was originally planning these games as part of the 35th and they just decided to hold them back as these buffer games in case if they need more development time, or whether or not you think that maybe this was all insider speculation to begin with and there's never been a plan to bring them to the Switch, which doesn't make much sense to me, because I think Nintendo knows they could easily throw these games on the Switch and make significantly more revenue off of them than they did on the Wii U. But I do want to hear from you, regardless of which side on the fence you fall on, and what you really think is going to go down ultimately with these games. And also, do you think I'm wrong about the individual releases, or do you think that I am right and Nintendo will drop these at $60 a pop as opposed to a combo pack? So I look forward to hearing from you guys, regardless of where you land on this issue, in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Make sure you check out yesterday's video if you haven't already, where we discussed the Nintendo Switch sales actually dipping beneath Sony and Microsoft in the month of January, and also some interesting things that users are noticing when it comes to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC. And please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell before you leave, and I will see you guys in the next video.